everyone. This is Coach Stacy, and I am here with Coach Allie, and you are in Mindset 101. We can't wait for all the things you're going to learn over the next 4 weeks, and we are going to get started today with a fun little gymnastics clip.
That was such a beautiful series.
I love how she ends. Like, she's so confident.
I always wish that I could do series like that. I was like one of those people, I would say by my senior year, I was confident in my series, but I could never do a back handspring back layout. I was like one of those people that did like the back handspring, pull both feet over at the same time, kind of like a back pike, but with my legs apart and land on the beam at the same time. My coach was like, yeah, I feel like we should find something else for you.
What did you think about that series?
I thought that it should be easy because everybody makes it look easy. Like Jess just doing it. Like she made it look so easy and confident to land. So I thought that if only I could do that series, then I would be good at beam and be able to do a confident series. But because I had to do these other different series, I never was going to do that. Cause I did back tuck, back handspring, swing down, straddle the beam for a while because I had really bad shoulder mobility. So we're like, oh, that'll just hide that. And then by my senior year, I did kick front or toss front to back handspring. And that one I felt like I could end confidently, but it took a while. But I totally used to believe that oh, I think it should be easy, but it's not for me. And so beam is just not my thing.
Yeah. I never competed at high enough a level to do a series. I think my thought about it would have been that's terrifying. I was scared of going backwards on the beam. But I loved coaching them because they were so much fun to spot. I love, we would spot them on the low beam, and I loved spotting with them because you got to travel with your gymnast the whole length of the beam, and it was really fast, and you had to be able to switch your hands around really fast, and it was so fun. I loved spotting them, and I loved coaching them, and I loved kind of crafting them with the gymnast. But definitely would have thought differently about it had I had to compete it.
You're such a nice coach. I'm coaching beam right now, and I do not spot them. I'm like, okay, if you can do it on the floor, you can do it on a low beam. If you can do it on a low beam, then you can move mats away and go up higher. But I'm like, if you need me to spot you, then you shouldn't do it yet.
Yeah, we always started out by spotting on low beam to get them really straight and centered and get it to feel. And so it was more about the physicality of learning the skill and taking them through it so they did it well. I was kind of in the same I never spot for mental help. You've got to be able to work your way up the beams to do it. So
see, I was the gymnast that wanted the mental spot. I didn't want you to touch me. I wanted you to stand to the back left where you couldn't actually reach me, but so I could see you in my back handspring. So then in the middle of my back handspring, I'd be like, okay, I can go. It was like a surprise, go. So the mental spot, that was my thing as a gymnast. As a coach, I don't know if I would be as on board with that.
Oh, while this is a fun conversation, it actually has a point for you. So Allie, would you like to explain the point of our conversation?
Okay, so there are two really important parts of this. There are circumstances and there are thoughts. And so in this situation of talking about the flight series, the circumstance is actually going to be the back handspring back layout. And a circumstance is something that is a fact that everybody in the entire world can agree upon, something that has already happened maybe, but something that everybody can agree upon. And so we can watch that series and we all looked at it and said, if you know gymnastics words, and said, that's a back handspring back layout. And we can all agree upon that. And our thoughts are going to be all of our opinions about it. So the circumstance actually has no meaning at all until we give it meaning with our thoughts. And so take a look quick at this list of thoughts that me and Stacy both shared with you about a back handspring back layout. Okay, so there were so many different things. I had amazing thoughts about Jess's back handspring back layout. I had horrible thoughts about myself doing one. I totally didn't think I was capable of that. Coach Stacy loved spotting them and had great thoughts about coaching and spotting them. But then she had horrible, fearful thoughts of her actually trying to do one herself. So there are so many different thoughts that we can have about one circumstance. So a circumstance could be any skill. In this situation, it would be a flight series. And Coach Stacy, why is this so important?
Well, and I also wanted to point out there were a couple other circumstances that we naturally ended up talking about: spotting versus not spotting, wanting to be, like as an athlete, as a coach, low beam versus high beam, the way in which the like drill progressions towards your series. So there were a couple of different ones, but we had lots of different thoughts about them. And the reason that this is important is because you're you're if all you can do is change the circumstance in order to get a different result, that's really difficult, right? Like sometimes, like for Coach Allie, changing the circumstance from to do a different series so that she would have a successful beam series worked. But if you always have to change the circumstance, a lot of times you're stuck, especially when the circumstance is another person, something another person said or did, or a situation that's difficult to change. But if you want a different result, you can often change your thought about the circumstance. And so the first step is just becoming aware of what's an actual fact, something that you probably won't be able to change, or maybe you can, but what's the fact of the situation? And what are your thoughts about those facts? Because your thoughts are the things we're going to work with. But we always think our thoughts are the facts. Like our brain is like, no, that's just the way it is. Like the sky is blue, it's 80 degrees outside, and back handspring back layouts on beam are scary. Like those are just the facts of the situation. What was your thought, Allie?
That I can't do them, and that I'm bad at them.
Yeah, that I'm bad at them. Or you said it was something about a real series. Like they should be easy.
Yep.
So like the beam is 4 inches wide and back handspring back layout should be easy. Like we think that our thoughts about them are the facts. And so being able to determine what's the actual fact and then what are our thoughts about the fact is the first step to being able even to do anything with those thoughts. So here's what we're going to do. The first thing that you want to do to get an idea of all the thoughts going on in your head is you're going to observe your thoughts with compassion. So, Coach Allie, imagine that you told your best friend some thought, and she was like, "What in the world is wrong with you? Why would you be thinking that?" How would you respond?
I would be like, I can't believe I just told her that, and I am never telling anybody else that in my entire life, and I should never think that again.
Exactly. And that's what we'll do to ourselves. So when we start observing our thoughts, but we observe them with judgment, we'll immediately be like, I'm never letting myself know what I'm thinking again. Because we can observe our own thoughts and we can hide our thoughts from ourselves. It's so weird that we can do that, but we can. And so if we're hiding our thoughts from ourselves, we're not going to be able to get access to this, right? So you have to be able to observe your thoughts as a curious, compassionate observer. Sometimes I like to think of it like a scientist. You're just running some experiments. You're just observing the world around you. So you're going to observe your thoughts. And one of the best ways to do that is to do something we call a thought download. So just like you download something from the internet onto your computer, you're going to download your thoughts onto something where you can see them written out. So that can be a digital thing. It can be a note on your phone. It can be a document on your computer, or it can actually be pen and paper, but you're going to get all of your thoughts out of your head and you're going to download them onto paper. This isn't journaling. You're not trying to make them make sense. You're not trying to write about them and explain the whole story. You're just like thought. Just get them all out and get as many of them down out on paper as you want. They can be about anything. If you're doing this as just a daily practice, you wake up in the morning and you're just like, all right, what's going on in this head of mine? You're just going to get them all out. or you can focus them in on one thing that you're trying to think about, and you're going to get all your thoughts about that. Whichever one you want to do, you're going to get all the thoughts out on paper or our digital copy. Then you're going to figure out which are T's and which are C's. So Allie, how should they do that?
Well, Stacy says it's so much nicer than me. I call it a word vomit because I feel like I'm just like exploding everything out onto a piece of paper, and
Pretty
it's
much
not
right.
organized. It's not good grammar or spelling or anything. It is literally just like, boom, everything. So you can call it a thought download or a word vomit, and separating your C's versus T's. So, like we said, a C is a circumstance, and that is something that is a fact that everybody in the entire world can agree upon. So, the beam being 4 inches wide, or it being 80 degrees out, or some of those actual numbers and facts, or my coach said to work on straightening my legs. But it has to be exactly what your coach said. It can't be, I think my coach thinks I'm horrible at gymnastics because she told me to straighten my legs. That is not a circumstance. What they said is the circumstance. Okay. So try and really separate what the actual facts are in your thought download and circle all those. And then I want you to go through and underline all the thoughts. Okay, so you're going to have some circles and you're going to have lots of underlining. Typically, you will find that there's going to be more T's than C's. By how much you think, Stacy?
I don't know. I think mine tend to be about 2% C's and the rest are T's.
I think you'll be surprised how many things are a thought versus a fact when you really sit down and think about it. And that is something that you are going to practice over the next 4 weeks. That's going to be a really important part of this. And then, as well as in our quiz, we're going to give you some questions about what is going to be a C and what is going to be a T, and thinking about, is that a fact or is that a thought? Coach Stacy, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, just so what we want you to do is start learning how to do a daily self-coaching practice just with this little bit. And the reason is it's the same thing as like strength or flexibility. Like if you did it once a week, like yeah, it'll help you a little bit. But when you work on it every single day, you see progress so much faster. The same thing will happen with your mindset training. If you work on this a little bit every single day, you're going to see so much more results. And so what we want you to do is every single day, take 5 minutes. You can put on a timer if you want and just do a thought download. Just get as many thoughts out as you can, unedited, go through, circle your C's, circle your T's. And then we're going to add on to that practice through the coming weeks. And so get used to doing it now. The other thing is that it takes, excuse me, it takes a little bit of practice to really begin to see which things are C's and which things are T's. So there's no real right way to do this. Like, did I get them right? Are all the C's correct? Or all the, we're just learning. We're just kind of trying. The point of this exercise is to begin to observe your thoughts. Because when you realize that a thought is just a thought, that's when you begin to get all of your power back over your life. And that is what we want to teach you how to do. So have fun doing that this week, and we will see you next week. Bye.